Hey, it's Tammy. It's funny. I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from for a while commenting on my videos yesterday. And I thought, oh crap, I didn't do my video this week. So anyway, here is this week's video of Where is the Sun, where we discuss the energies you feel as the sun moves through the Human Design Mandala. The Human Design Mandala has 64 gates. Each gate lasts 6 days. You may find you hit energy a day before you're expecting to, or a day longer than you're supposed to. However, it's like a 6-day period. Sometimes the energy shifts in the middle of the night. Sometimes people who are sensitive can feel it coming. But anyway, so we have been in the gate 11. We're actually in line 5, so the 5th day of the gate 11. And the gate 11 is about coming up with ideas, being creative, having a story, talking about your story, sharing that information to bring people together, using it as a teaching tool to further people's understanding of responsibility to one another. There's kind of like a universalism involved in the 11 and our stories and sharing them. I talked to someone the other day who mentioned, again, I think it was last night, not the other day, but mentioned how it must be hard when you're doing, like, I'm going for my degree in social work, so I've been doing a lot of clinical therapy. And when you speak to somebody and they're going through something that you've gone through, and actually my friend Damon mentioned this at his book signing last week, that you can't take away from their process and their feelings by explaining what you've been through. So you may be able to say, yes, I've also lost someone, or yes, I've also been divorced, or yes, I've also, whatever, lost my job. But that doesn't mean that your story and your path and how you deal with it is going to be the same as somebody else. And what works for one person doesn't always work for another. But if we share our stories in line with our strategy, so make sure you know your strategy. If we share our stories, then that person may be able to, in a different kind of environment, obviously not in a therapeutic environment, be able to say, oh, that happened to me too, and this is how I dealt with it. I understand it might not work for you, but this worked for me. Or, you do get that book for somebody because that book worked so great for you, but it might not work for the other person. And maybe the other person doesn't even like to read, and you're like, here's this book. So it's all that kind of thing. So when you share what you know, what you've been through, and people hear you and they're ready to hear you, there can be huge teaching moments in that. There can be huge moments of universalization. So that's pretty much what's been going on this week and will continue through tomorrow at least. Just trying to think if anything else is popping out, but I think that's pretty complete. So next, and I have my book out because I'll be honest, I've been so scatterbrained lately with all the stuff that I've been doing. The brain is just not always there, but it's all good. So the gate 10 is the gate of behavior. It's also known as the verbal gunslinger. So if you have the 10 in your chart all the time, you're someone who can build somebody up or cut somebody way down with like one word. It doesn't take a lot more than that. If you have the 10 and the 20, chances are you're not going to be able to stop that truth from coming out of your mouth. If you have the 34 and your spouse has the 10 and your kid has the 20, you're going to have the same problem. So anything in that area, the 34, the 20, and the 10, can be really, if you have openness in there or if you're completely defined in there, can really shift and change and make it hard to be able to pause and get in front of your words. And it's really important that we try to do that only because we want to make sure that we're entering our strategy. So for me, I'm a generator and I need to be asked. I have to wait to respond to things. So I'm not just going to walk up to somebody. Well, I've done it a million times, don't get me wrong, and just like blurt out an analysis or what I think or something I believe they can change, and this is how to change it. Unless they've asked me, unless there's something else going on that has is something that I can respond to and then say it, they're not going to hear a word I say. They're going to probably name call. It's just going to be ugly. So make sure that when you are expressing yourself or expressing these things, or with the 10 expressing a truth, that you're doing so by following your strategy, and that just avoids a lot of issues. So I don't have the 10. This week, the 10 will be prominent or defined in my chart. I'm lucky not to have the 20, so it won't just blurt out. I'll have a little bit control over it, but if I'm around people that do have the 20 and I may not know who those people are, then chances are that something is going to fly out. So I wish I could just tell everybody, hey, if I say something. But that's kind of how we have to think about it. So even if you do say something and you don't mean it with malice, but it hurts somebody, like maybe it's a truth that they weren't ready to recognize. Maybe that one word caused a dip in their, in their being, because they're realizing that maybe that word does fit or that truth is true. There are ways to go back and say, I shouldn't have blurted it out like that. I'm really sorry. Do you want to talk about it? If they do, great. If they don't, leave it. I guess what I'm saying here, and it kind of goes with the 11 and the universalization, is don't just leave it out there. Sometimes we do have to be responsible for the way our words affect somebody else. So there's certain times when you'll know when you do it. You'll see it on the person's face. Their voice will change. If you're texting, their text will change. There's something that you said that brought a big response. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but it's important to notice. And where this is like a behavior gate, there'll be a lot of behaviors that you'll be able to observe, learn from, make your own, change, anything like that. It's a great time for that kind of stuff too. So as much as people, when I learned this, my mentor called this one of the gnarly gates, and it can totally be gnarly. My daughter has the 10, and sometimes she'll say things to me. I remember when she brought up the other day, and actually you could probably see it in the picture right there. I bought a jacket, and I put the jacket on, and it was like fleece, and it was blue, and it had like a plaid with like purple and white, and I thought it was really pretty. And I put it on, and I'm like, what do you think of this? And I forget exactly what the word was that she used, but, and this, she maybe was 10. And I was in like tears. I was fighting back my tears because I felt so hurt by the way she expressed whatever her thought was at that time. Basically, she didn't really like that jacket. I wore it all the time anyway. I didn't really care. It looked all right. But it's things like that, and we'll bring it up lately. Like, we went out and I bought a jacket the other day, and I'm like, what do you think of this one? And she's like, I'm not sure I should say, but she actually liked this jacket, so it was a whole different story. So just that kind of stuff. Watch your behaviors. If you do notice that you make a mistake, forgive yourself, make amends, say sorry to the person. They may or may not accept it in the moment. But I think the biggest part of having this kind of energy, where there are going to be a lot of truths and a lot of realizations and a lot of reviews of behavior, whether it be yours or somebody else's, that you follow your strategy. So if you are a projector, who, don't get me wrong, you guys have some of the best advice I've ever received in my life when I invited you to give it to me. So if you're a projector, make sure you're waiting for that invitation. If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, make sure you're waiting to respond to something outside of yourself. So you can't in your head be like, hey, I got this idea, I'm going to tell somebody, and then like the other part of you goes, yeah, tell somebody. You can't do that. If you are a reflector, you really are supposed to wait with that information and analyze it and get information from other people to see if it's something that you're able to disclose or even to understand at that point in time. And then if you are a manifester, for the most part, you can say and do pretty much whatever you want. There's a whole emotional component in that, when you should make sure you're not low on your wave when you do it. But for manifestors, you have a lot better capacity to do that. And what I think is important to also remember is that these are your strategies. These are the ways you're going to be best heard, understood, and you know, depending on the situation, your ideas will be followed. But it doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. So I'm supposed to wait to respond to something. It doesn't mean I can't invite somebody or I can't give somebody else something to respond to. It just means that if I say something and nobody responds or nobody cares, and that hurt feeling from that little girl that's like, nobody listens to me, nobody knows me, starts flailing up, all I have to remember is, wait, did anybody ask me for that information, or did I just kind of blurt out that information? And those are the things that you can wait for. Like for a projector, you can invite somebody to do something, and if they say no, then you just accept it. Don't throw 75 different other options out. Just accept that they said no right now. And the quieter you are, the more people are going to come to you to find out why. So I think that's all I have. Again, charts are free. You get a summary of your type and strategy. I'm telling you, once you see a chart, what I talk about makes a whole lot more sense, although I think I try to keep these videos so that even if somebody doesn't understand human design, they're able to walk outside and see this energy happening. And I think that's really my, or feel this energy happening. I think that's really where I want to go. I want people to understand that there are energies around us. We can predict which energies are going to be more prominent, and we can use that in our interactions with others. So if you need a free chart or a summary or anything else, you can email me at tamc2006@gmail.com, or you can leave a message or get me on Facebook, whatever works for you. I do need as close to the time of your birth. I need the date, time, and location to do an accurate chart. So take care. Bye-bye.